Ever get that, like, creepy feeling that something's just off about the world, like someone's pulling the strings?
Oh, yeah.
Well, today we're going full conspiracy theory, deep dive into David Icke.
Whoa. Okay.
This guy claims reptilian overlords are running the show.
Reptilians.
You heard right. We're cracking open Children of the Matrix, seeing if Icke's got any evidence for this.
Ooh, interesting.
Buckle up, folks. It's going to get weird.
Weird is an understatement when it comes to Icke.
True. But, gotta admit, his ideas, out there as they are, they've caught on.
Big time. I think is how he, ties everything together. Ancient myths, history, even science. Makes it a whole narrative.
Right. So first up, Icke talks about predators. This parasitic force controlling us. Literal aliens.
Not quite. More like a metaphysical thing, He says they force a limited reality on us, make us fearful, controlled. He even says they mess with our thinking, calls it baroque, contradictory, and morose.
So our own negativity is their fault.
That's Icke's take. Sort of taps into those limiting beliefs we all deal with, just with reptilians added.
Definitely unique. Now, he's big on the Nephilim. Who are they?
Icke says extraterrestrials who, a long time ago, they bred with humans, made hybrid bloodlines.
Okay.
And get this, he thinks these bloodlines are the ones in power, throughout history, secretly controlling everything.
Like those conspiracy theories about secret societies, powerful families.
Exactly. Icke points to groups like the Illuminati, even historical figures like the Rothschilds, bankers.
So empires never really fell, just went underground.
That's his theory. They switched to covert control through these powerful figures.
And the goal of all this?
Icke believes a global fascist state, everyone microchipped, controlled by one big authority.
Yikes. He thinks we're already heading that way.
With the surveillance and stuff, yeah. Erosion of freedom, all that.
Scary stuff. But where does everyone else fit in? The regular folks?
Icke has a term, sheeple. He sees most people as, blindly following norms, too scared to bring out of the system.
So conformity helps keep the system going.
Exactly. Makes it easy to control people, he says, when they don't question anything.
Okay, so you've got predators, shadowy bloodlines, and these sheeple. But, gotta address the big one, reptilian overlords.
Ah, yes. This is where things go full Icke.
What's the deal with these reptilians? Are they real or what?
Well, he claims they're the ones behind it all. Not human, but from another dimension. The Anunnaki.
Huh.
Bred with humans, he says, created the Illuminati to do their bidding.
Shape-shifting reptilians. Feels like a sci-fi movie, but Icke's serious.
Dead serious. This is where his interpretation of history and myth gets really interesting. Ancient art, symbols, texts. He says it all points to reptilians influencing us for centuries.
Like what specifically?
Oh, he's big on the symbolism. Serpents, dragons, pyramids, you name it. Even that all-seeing eye thing. All reptilian, he says.
Really?
And the K sound. Like too many names with K-reptilian influence, supposedly.
Connecting symbols to, modern power figures.
Yep. Thinks it's a secret code telling us who's really in charge. Hidden in plain sight.
I gotta admit, kind of cool. Even if I don't buy it. But it gets darker, right? He talks about sacrifices, reptilians needing blood.
Yeah, this is where it gets disturbing. He said they feed on our negative energy, especially from, fear and sacrifice rituals.
They get power from our suffering.
He links into all the dark stuff throughout history. Says it's not random, but part of a bigger plan.
Wow. Okay, so we've got the players in Icke's world, but how do they control us? He's not a fan of religion, is he?
Not organized religion, no. Sees it as another tool for, suppressing the truth. Keeping us scared and obedient.
Mind control through faith.
Basically. He thinks all the major religions, they were made or twisted to manipulate people. Keep him from questioning things.
Does he single out any religions in particular?
He's most critical of Christianity, Judaism, and Mormonism. Says they're prime examples of this manipulation. And those biblical stories. Just twisted Sumerian myths in his view.
Huh. So he's rewriting history and religion to fit this reptilian narrative.
You could say that. It's a very unique lens. But it's not just religion. Money's a big one, too.
What's his take on the financial system?
He sees it as a trap. Designed to keep everyone in debt. Explains things like fiat currency, how banks create money from nothing. Says it's all meant to keep us enslaved.
So it's not just about greed or bad management. The system's rigged on purpose.
That's what he says. Deliberate control. And again, those Rothschilds pop up. Along with institutions like the Federal Reserve. All part of a global conspiracy.
So religion, money, both tools of the reptilians. What else do they use?
Oh, he's got a whole list. Mind control through the media, pharmaceuticals, fluoride in the water, even vaccines.
Hold on. He thinks medications and, like, public health stuff is part of the plot. What's the evidence for that?
Well, he sees it as like dumbing us down, keeping us docile and easier to control.
Not about helping people, but about keeping us subdued.
That's Ick's interpretation. Prevent us from reaching our potential or like questioning authority.
So it's religion, money, healthcare, anything else they're using to keep us down?
Ick thinks their ultimate goal is microchipping everyone. The final step, he says. Total control.
Whoa. A global fascist state, everyone with a microchip? That's dark. Are we all doomed then to be slaves to the reptilians?
Not necessarily. Ick does offer some hope. Thinks we can break free from this control matrix. But it takes a big shift in how we think.
Okay, well, before we dive into that, let's just take a breath and recap. We've gone deep into David Icke's world. Reptilian overlords controlling us through religion, finance, even healthcare, secret societies, ancient conspiracies. Pretty intense.
It is. And some of it is tough to accept. But even if you don't believe in shape-shifting reptiles, it does make you think about power, control, and what's real.
Absolutely. That's what makes this deep dive so interesting. Not just about, like, agreeing with Icke, but using his ideas to examine our own beliefs, think about the world differently.
Exactly. And next time, we'll look at how he thinks we can break free from this control matrix.
So we've explored the dark side, reptilians, manipulation, the whole control thing. But Icke says there's a way out, a way to, like, break free from this matrix. Where do we even start?
He calls it waking up. Basically, we got to see the control for what it is. Then we can reclaim our innate power, I think he calls it.
Sounds kind of spiritual, right? Like self-awareness, inner transformation.
Yeah, there are definitely parallels. He doesn't tie it to any one religion, though. But the ideas are there. Enlightenment, higher consciousness, all that.
Okay. But if we're surrounded by sheeple, bombarded with these messages, how do we even start to break free?
Icke's big on personal responsibility. Got to question everything, he says. Challenge authority. Think for yourself.
Easier said than done, though. Going against the grain, it's tough.
He'd say that's the point. Got to break out of that mental sheep pen. Stop following blindly.
Right. So it's not just enough to wake up. Got to actually do something.
Yeah, got to recognize the manipulation. Those symbols we talked about, the tactics they use. See how they're messing with our heads.
Pay attention to all that. And be critical of, like, the news, the stories we're told.
Exactly. He thinks mainstream media is a big part of keeping the matrix going, shaping how we see the world.
Control the information, control the people. But there's so much information out there, how do you even know what's real anymore?
Icke says, be a discerning consumer. Don't just swallow everything you hear. Look at who's saying it, what their agenda might be. Find other viewpoints.
So, like, media literacy. Be aware of biases, agendas.
Right, don't be passive.
Yeah.
Actively participate in creating your own reality.
Okay, I get that. Be aware, question things, do your research. But these are powerful forces, right? How do we actually fight back?
He's not talking about, like, revolution in the streets. It's more about interchange. Raise your vibration, connect with that love and consciousness, and you break free from their grip.
Be the change sort of thing, but that's kind of vague. How do you actually put that into action?
He says, every choice we make, it matters. From what we eat to what we watch to how we treat people. Got to align our actions with our awakened self.
So take responsibility for our energy, thoughts, actions.
Yep. It all adds up, creates a ripple effect. More people wake up, the stronger the effect. The predators lose their power.
Powerful idea. But earlier, he said religion is a tool of control. Now he's talking spirituality. Isn't that kind of contradictory?
He sees a distinction. Organized religion, that's the man-made control system. Spirituality is, like, personal, connecting to something bigger.
So ditch the dogma, find your own connection.
Yeah. He thinks religion twists the truth, keeps people scared and dependent. Find your own truth, he says.
Don't rely on someone else to tell you. Look inside yourself.
Exactly. That's where the real answers are, he says, not in some book or from some authority figure.
That inner knowing idea, it pops up a lot in different traditions. Does Icke have specific ways to, like, cultivate that?
He's big on meditation, being mindful, getting out in nature, quiet the mind, connect with your inner wisdom.
That makes sense. But he thinks those things can actually help dismantle the matrix.
He does. The more inner peace and clarity you have, the harder it is to manipulate you. You access your true power, he says.
Like building up a resistance to those viruses we talked about. But those viruses, those mind control things, he was pretty specific about some of them, right? Pharmaceuticals, fluoride?
Yeah. He sees those as part of the agenda to suppress us, keep us scared, obedient, and from reaching our potential.
That's pretty controversial. Does he have any proof for that, or is it more like his interpretation?
He points to, like, how much we rely on medication now, fluoride in the water, vaccines being pushed. Says it's all connected, a coordinated effort.
So not saying those things can't help people, but questioning the motives.
Right. Keep us dependent, compliant, and disconnected from our true selves.
Sounds like he's pushing for a more holistic view, taking control of your own health, mind, body.
That's definitely part of it. True health comes from within, he says. Connecting with that inner power, making choices that support you.
It all goes back to the sheep pen idea, right? Break out of that and you can break out of the matrix.
Definitely. Got to reclaim that individual power. Create a new reality based on, well, all the good stuff. Love, freedom, truth.
But if this controlling force is so strong everywhere, can we really overcome it? Is individual change enough?
It believes so. Says they need us. They need our energy, our consent. Without that, they lose power.
So we starve them out, kinda, by refusing to play their game.
That's the idea. Enough people wake up and the balance shifts. We create a new reality. It's not about fighting them directly, but evolving past them.
Compelling, but how do we even know when we've reached that point? What does this new reality even look like?
Even Ick doesn't have all the answers there. He gives us the framework, but the specifics are still up in the air.
So it's a journey, both personal and collective.
Exactly. He gives us the map, but we got to figure out the destination as we go.
Okay, so be aware, cultivate positivity, make good choices, and challenge the system. But realistically, can one person really make a difference against something this big?
We underestimate ourselves, Ick would say. Even small acts of defiance, they matter. Create a ripple effect.
It's about remembering we have power, right? Not just pawns in the game, but creators of our own reality.
Exactly. Every time we choose awareness, choose love and truth, it weakens the matrix.
That's a big ask, though. A lot of responsibility.
It is. And that's why people react so strongly to Ick, I think. It's not just about believing him or not. It's about looking at our own role in all this, asking what we're willing to do to make things better.
Well put. We've covered a lot today. Reptilians, mind control, global conspiracies. It's a lot.
It is. But even with all the strange stuff, Ick's message is ultimately hopeful. He wants us to take action, create a world based on love and truth.
And whether you buy into the reptilian thing or not, that's a pretty good goal, right? Makes you think differently about the world, about your place in it.
Exactly. That's the value of exploring these ideas, even the crazy ones. They spark something in us, make us question things.
So, to our listeners, if you're feeling intrigued, challenged, maybe even a little freaked out, keep exploring, do your own research, decide what you believe.
It's a personal journey, figuring it all out.
Yeah.
But we're all in this together.
All right, so we know we need to wake up. But how do we actually start, like, dismantling this matrix in our own lives? Give us any practical steps.
He does. It all comes down to energy, vibration. He said those predators, they operate on a lower frequency. Fear, anger, negativity, all
They
that.
feed off that stuff. That's not a new idea, right? Lots of spiritual traditions say the same thing.
It's a common theme. And Ick says to escape their influence, we got to raise our own vibration. Love, compassion, forgiveness, those have a higher frequency.
So not just awareness, but actively being more positive. How do we do that exactly?
Ick's a big fan of those classic practices. Mindfulness, meditation, connecting with nature, all about finding that inner peace.
Right. Usually that's for stress relief, feeling better, all that. But Ick says it's key to breaking free from the matrix.
Exactly. Like taking those self-help ideas and applying them to a much bigger picture.
Interesting. Anything else he suggests for raising our vibration?
Conscious consumption is another one. Be mindful of what you put into your body, the information you take in, the energy you surround yourself with.
So a holistic approach, like building up defenses against all that negative energy.
Yeah, you could say that. The more we choose thoughts, actions, experiences that are aligned with love and positivity, the harder it is for them to manipulate us, and the more power we have to create something better.
Makes sense. But we're not just individuals, right? We live in this system, these structures that are built to keep us in the matrix, collective action, changing the system itself. How does it deal with that?
He'd agree, individual awakening isn't enough on its own. We need a collective shift, he says. Enough people wake up, and we can transform the systems from within.
So inner change and outward action. But what does that look like? Taking down the Illuminati or...
Yeah. He doesn't lay out a specific plan. It's more about encouraging people to find their own way to challenge things. disrupt the system, build something better in its place.
That's pretty open-ended. Sounds like he trusts people to figure it out, use their own talents to contribute.
That's how I see it. He gives the principles, the framework, but the how is up to each person.
So, no set rules, no one movement to join. Just find your own way to help make this shift happen.
Exactly. Real change comes from within, he says, the desire to make things better. And how that manifests, well, there's no one right answer.
Okay, so we're mindful of our energy, making conscious choices, all that. But be honest, how much can one person really change something this big?
That's where Ike would say, we underestimate ourselves. Every little act of defiance, every time we choose something different, it matters. It creates a ripple.
Like remembering that we do have power, we're not just helpless, we can shape our reality.
Exactly. Every time we choose awareness, choose love, choose truth, it weakens their control.
It's a lot to take on, though, a lot of responsibility.
It is. And that's, I think, at the heart of why people have such strong reactions to Ike. You can't just listen and agree or disagree. He forces you to look at your own choices, your role in all of this. What are you doing to make things better?
That's a good point. Well, we've covered a lot in this deep dive. Reptilians, mind control, global conspiracies, a lot to process.
It has been quite the journey. But even with all the strangeness, Ike's message is ultimately about hope, taking action, creating a better world.
Yeah, even if you don't buy the whole reptilian thing, that's something we can all get behind. It gets you thinking, right? About the world, about yourself.
Absolutely. And that's what's so great about exploring these ideas. Even the ones that sound crazy, they push us, make us question things.
So, to our listeners, if you're walking away from this feeling anything, intrigued, confused, maybe a little scared even, don't stop here. Keep digging. See what resonates with you.
Figure out what you believe. It's a journey, but hey, at least we're on it together, right?
That's a good note to end on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.